Welcome to Spotlight. I'm Hale Walker, and my guest today is Brent Gillette. Brent is the Executive Director of the United Way of Port Huron, St. Clair County. Brent, thanks so much for being with us.
Well, thanks, Hal, for having me.
So it's that time of year again.
Absolutely. It's so exciting because this is the time of the year that we start the conversation about how do we help each other? How do we pull the community together in a united effort to help those that may reach out for a helping hand?
And so you've got all of the volunteers in place, or is that still something that we're working on?
We're still working on. We're about ready to kick off. Next, on the 22nd of this month, we will be officially kicked off for our campaign. I take that back. It's on the 14th. I'm sorry. The 14th, out at the Eagles. They'll be hosting us. And that's where we'll unveil the video like normal and our goal, what we think we need to raise this year. And then we'll highlight all the wonderful volunteers, the ambassadors, section chairs, division chairs that are stepping up to the plate to say, I'm going to start that conversation at every business possible in St. Clair County to talk about how do we help each other.
And those really are special people because they are dedicating an enormous amount of time and energy to be able to make this a success.
Absolutely, and they want to be there. You know, they want to help. And I think that's the wonderful thing about our community. We have so many caring people in the St. Clair area, Port Huron, that want to make sure things are ready. You know, because really that's what United Way does, is we raise money ahead of time with the hopes we don't have to use it, but with the knowledge that last year 1 in 10 in our community reached out for help. And if we waited for them to come to us before we raised the resources, provided that service, it would be too late. So this is our opportunity to say, let's think ahead. Let's think about that person that might be living paycheck to paycheck and something happens, car breaks down, water heater goes out, something minor like that, and puts them over the edge, and they just need some help to stay in their home or to pay their electrical bills or something like that. And heaven forbid it's something even bigger like cancer or those type of things. You know, those are things that you just don't prepare for, you don't want to happen in your life, but when they do, it's wonderful to know there's volunteers out there raising those resources to make sure we can address those issues.
And Brent, how many sort of affiliate organizations are we referring to when we talk about the United Way in St. Clair County?
That's another value to United Way. You know, they don't really fund organizations as much as they fund programs. But you can't associate one without the other.
Sure.
So there's 22 different agencies in town that provide 43 different programs that United Way helps fund.
Okay. And I've got to imagine that the world has been turned upside down for the United Way with the period of COVID and how things done. Have things changed in how we're trying to raise money?
Absolutely. You know, our lion kind of foundation of how we've done business has changed dramatically because we don't have that access to employees. And I understand businesses not wanting to introduce somebody from the outside in that may be carrying the virus or something and affect their whole operation. But really that's the way you need to talk to people. You need to explain it to them. Because people don't give to organizations. They don't give to this or that. They give to people. And the best way to explain how their effect and what their outcome and benefits are to the community is one-on-one. For us to be able to come in and talk to them and explain the statistics. Because some of them are pretty staggering. You know, there's a lion's share of our kids that aren't reading proficiently by 3rd grade. And that usually means they won't graduate. So that's a startling thing. About 48% of our households in this area are what we call the working poor. People that are squeaking out a living. They don't even know they're in that category because they're just doing everything possible to make things happen. And it takes that one incident to push them over the edge.
So let's get into that a little bit more. We're going to take a brief time out, but when we come back, let's continue to talk about some of the programs.
Okay.
Stay tuned because we're going to be right back.
Semco Energy Gas Company is dedicated to you with a focus on customer service and fuel today for a sustainable tomorrow. Semco Energy works hard to make your time with family and friends warm and cozy. Semco Energy Gas Company. Natural gas works for Michigan.
Welcome back to Spotlight as we continue our conversation with Brent Gillette, the Executive Director of the United Way of St. Clair County. So Brent, we were talking about some of the programs and the help that the United Way provides. Let's continue to go down that road.
You know, and like I say, the statistics are staggering. We had over 300 kids in the Port Huron schools that were homeless last year. And, one of the statements one of the teachers said to me, I can make them safe when they're here at school. We can provide hot lunch. We can do those kind of things. But what happens when they leave the school? Where do they go? What do they do? Well, they come to us. We provide that shelter, that
you are giving
warm,
the shelter.
safe places that are needed in our community for those folks. And how can you expect a child to be the beginning of our future if they don't have a safe, warm environment to learn and to thrive? So that's what we're doing. And, and that's what's really one of the added benefits to United Way. When I first started giving to United Way, my father always instilled in me, you have to be helpful. You got to help your neighbors. You got to take care of each other. And I really didn't quite understand it until I understood what United Way stood for. And that was, it's not just one program or one service or one section of people that we help. It's a broad scope of things. And I can still go about my business every day if after I give to United Way, knowing that there's a group of volunteers looking after my gift to make sure it's going to the right places, making sure it's having the biggest impact, making sure it's being used wisely, and that it stays right here in our community.
So if people want to help, most people are familiar with the request through their own business, but if they happen to be retired, they're not working, what have you, what's the best way to go about helping?
Oh, there's so many variety of ways. Obviously, social media, we have online giving if you want to give that way. You can stop at the office if you need to. Our lion's share of givers are through the workplace. Payroll deduction makes it the easiest way. Give a little bit each week. By the end of the year, you've given a nice gift. But collectively, all of us, that's what makes the difference. It takes the whole community. And that's what this theme is this year. You and I start United Way. So
that's beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so in the giving, that request is going to be going to the employers about when?
Right after the 14th is when we'll send out the over 60 some volunteers that we've got to go out and knock on all the doors and talk about what do we do this year? How do we get the word out? How do we inform your employees, our citizens in this community on their options? Because it isn't mandatory, nobody's forcing anybody to do anything. But if you don't give them the information, how can you give? How can you make that informed decision? And that's when it'll start. Right after the 14th, we'll be kicking off at the Eagles, and that'll start the whole movement of how do we take care of our community.
And then there'll be the drum roll, and we'll hear what the goal is at that particular time.
Exactly.
So follow up with us and come on back. When that's rolled out, we can announce to the world exactly what the goals are.
I would love to. I would love to be able to celebrate what our community does when they pull together in a united effort to take care of one another.
Brent, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Hal.
And thank you for being with EBW TV as we continue to spotlight nonprofits and economic development in the Blue Water area. I'm Hale Walker, and this is Spotlight.